Hi, everybody. This is RJ Shay. I'm at the St. Louis Artists Guild in Clayton, Missouri. We're at our new facilities, and you need to come by sometime and check us out. We're at the corner of 12 North Jackson Avenue and Forsyth Avenue. For you St. Louis homebodies, that would be the old Famous and Bar building in downtown Clayton, so you know where we are. I'm here tonight with our guest presenter for the Illustrators section. This is artist Phil Berwick, and he gave a very, very fascinating presentation tonight. And I'm going to let him sort of open up. I'll ask him a few questions. I'll ask you a few questions, Phil, about this cartoon character that you've invented called Merferd. And the Merferd character has been on quite a journey for the last couple years. And why don't you just kind of tell me how this character started and what your vision was for it?
Thanks, Bob. He's actually a tree tune, so Merferd and the Tree Tunes, Treetoons. And he's had a long tenure, starting in high school in the 70s. I've drawn Merferd over anything I could draw on and given it to anyone I could. And he is half man, half tree. And he's come out of the edge of the Tree Tune stand to be an ambassador of peace in this city. And he started really going wild during Paint for Peace, which was a phenomenon that never happened on Earth before, Paint for Peace. And throughout the month of October, look up outside in, Paint for Peace. A lot of these pieces that were done by St. Louis residents, not even full-time artists, are on display now in various locations. And after the Paint for Peace movement, I just couldn't quit. I kept painting Merferd. And I painted him in a couple strategic places. Over some vulgarity in one place, and incorporated him with a big fat gang tag in another place. And people were enamored and encouraged and felt good vibes off of him, and I couldn't ask for anything better.
Now, this whole outdoor thing got started with the Ferguson unrest a couple years ago, correct?
Correct.
So how did you get involved in that exactly?
Well, there was a prayer tent for 21 days, and I felt compelled to be in that prayer tent most of those 21 days after doing tree work. And I got to meet some really neat people of all different colors that believed we had to pray together, that this was a spiritual thing, that forces of darkness wanted to take our city down. And the media was making big business for themselves, blowing up the angst and the conflict. People heard very little bit about the creative end of things, and you didn't hear anything about the spiritual end of things. But we knew that what we were doing had eternal and higher implications than what the media was painting our city to be. And it was during that 21 days of prayer and fasting that I knew that I had to move out of Jefferson County back into the city. Now, for decades, I've been doing tree work in the city, every nook and cranny of the city, so I know the city well. I'd already been building bridges with people in the cities, with ministries and other venues, and playing my folk music at different venues. But Merferd became a phenomenon this summer. And it's been a crazy ride, really cool.
So during the Ferguson thing, with all of the windows being broken out and so forth, and they were all boarded up and so forth, you showed up in Ferguson and started decorating all of these plain boards with your character, and then met all kinds of other artists. Is that correct?
Over 300 artists did the same thing. No one organized this. None of us knew each other. But we knew that we had to paint the butt-ugly boards on our city with themes of love and unity, justice, peace, kindness, forgiveness. And it is a phenomenon that happened. But yeah.
And as a result of all of this, You got some publicity. You were on TV. You were interviewed by some foreign news feeds. Is that correct?
You know, the first days where common folk were out painting, news teams from all over the world descended on Ferguson and South Grand eventually, and Delwood and Jennings to interview us, and it was pretty neat. Yeah.
In fact, you were just recently a story was done of you by the Riverfront Times. Is that correct? How did that happen?
That was crazy cool. I've been painting Merferd's likeness, and I've been painting him in areas of the city, primarily black areas of the city. And all I ever heard was, man, that's tight. That's really tight, man. Thanks for doing this. And I came down into some white and black areas and started doing it. But it was when I began to put his name next to his face, Merferd, that people identified him, and they began to get enthralled with him and like him because his arms are out, and I had asked the creator of us all that his eminence and his love would come through Merferd. So we're all created for fellowship and community, and that's what Merford's about.
So this turned out to be more of a ministry that just kind of came out of your creativity,
Right.
And it gave you the ability to meet and greet and coalesce with a whole lot of other people who you've never met before.
You know, and you're right. And I never really intended it to be that. And you use the word ministry. People think, you got some vendetta. Yeah, I got a vendetta that we better love our neighbor as ourselves. We better learn to love and respect and honor each other. And we all have to wrestle with doing that. But let's broadcast that. Let's encourage one another with love and good deeds today, while it's still today, while we still have the opportunity to do.
So you actually, if I'm not mistaken, did you not move to Ferguson?
Right. Our 2.5 decades in Jefferson County were up, and I felt I needed to come into the eye of the hurricane.
So you have a tree service. You're an arborist by profession.
Right.
So how does that coalesce with what you're doing with this neighborhood outreach?
Well, the tree tunes morphed from me being a tree guy. And as an arborist, we were in the business of saving trees anyway. We do not remove trees unless someone has a really good reason. For instance, the tree's stone dead, or it's starting to work into the foundation of a house, or it's hazard ready to fall down. We will not take trees down because it drips sap on the sidewalk or because it's buckling a sidewalk. And so because we had a passion to save trees, think of all the arts that's done with the painting of trees. And I've just been a tree guy and artist for decades. And so they've gone hand in hand. You ask me how? It's just there.
What's Merferd up to now?
So Merferd has gone underground temporarily. He's literally underground in a beautiful rock basement that someone's letting me use. Currently, my goal is to produce 24 Merferds that are two-dimensional wood Merferds that are going to be descending from the sky and from trees by Halloween, by All Saints' Eve. He's not going to be painted on the walls for a while. He's going to be climbing up and down the walls, and he's going to be very hard to get to. We're about ready to announce Where on Earth is Murph contest, Bob.
Okay. Well, just make sure you send me all the information, and I will post that. This was a very interesting night tonight with somebody who's reached out with his artwork and has been able to touch the community in a way that very, very few people can or were willing to do. And I want to thank you for coming tonight, Phil. and I wish you the best. And make sure that you stay tuned to what's going on at the St. Louis Artists Guild by going to www.stlouisartistsguild.org and see what our next event is going to be. We're having our biggest fundraiser of the year coming up here shortly, called the Collector's Choice. This is what makes or breaks the Artists Guild every single year, and we urge you to buy tickets for this and come and see our wonderful place.
There's going to probably be a Merferd in here if I can shake a leg really quick.
And we appreciate that very much. Thanks again for coming, and we'll see you next month.